All right, folks, welcome to Edu Steps, powered by Laddering Your Success. I'm your host, Olay, and today we are diving into a question that's on a lot of minds of young people as summer approaches. Should I get a summer job or should I go for an internship? How do I plan the perfect break? So whether you're looking to earn some extra cash, build your resume, or figure out what you want to do in the future, this episode is jam-packed with quality information for you. As always, I got my good friend with me, Festus. Festus, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, but again, it's a hot day in Houston. I probably shouldn't be buttoned all the way up. I should, take a button off. You know what I'm saying? Let it breathe. Let it breathe.
We're entering that time, man. We're entering that time as we head towards the beginning of summer in Houston, Texas. And of course, we have officially the doc, the one and only Dr. Jamarc Crawford. How you doing? How you doing today, man?
I'm all right, man. I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Awesome, man. Sounds good coming off the tongue. Doctor, give me the news. And of course, we got the one and only who decided to join us off of his golden throne to come be with us small peasants. The one, the only, that guy, Daniel Hill. How you doing, man?
Man, it's great being down here with y'all. You know what I'm saying?
He said, down here with y'all. Did you hear that? Wow.
No, it was good with y'all.
It's nice
I'm glad
to hear it's keeping you.
I gotta stay humble.
No,
You know I got mess with y'all boys.
All right, folks. So let's dive right into this conversation for today. I want to ask everyone here, what was your journey like when you were coming up and leaving high school and entering college? And even while you were in college in regards to jobs and internships and things like that, what was your journey like? Were you one who was just like, look, I need money to survive, so I'm just going to get these jobs, whoever's hiring, if I can get the job, I'm going to work here? Were you someone who was like, I had options for jobs and I liked particular jobs, but because they allowed me to use the skills I was learning, or they were in a field that I wanted to eventually get into? What was you guys' journey like in high school and in college?
Well, since my parents being first generation, I started working when I was actually 11 or 12. My first job was selling newspapers in front of grocery stores. And so for those, back in the day, back in the Gap, you could be a paper boy and basically you got a quarter per paper you sold. You could either stand in the kind of middle of the road, or you could get in front of a grocery store. And so since I was the youngest and I wasn't supposed to be there, I was begging to go, since my brother was old enough to do it. He was 13 at the time. And so I was begging, and I said, fine, let him go. So they put me in front of Foodorama. And so I've always kind of had some kind of work, I guess, a work experience. So by the time, fast forward my senior year, obviously, parents passed away. So to me, I hustled. I got a job at a mom and pop pizza place. I was cutting grass, and I don't know what else I was doing. And then fast forward, I was working at Wing Zone. So just, my summer was working, and then off to the military was my summer.
So talk a little bit also about like because for a while there you're at Houston Christian University. At the time it was Houston Baptist University, and you were working. Were you still doing the same jobs there? You were a little bit more mature, you're a little bit older at that time? Were you kind of like, the jobs that I'm looking for now, they kind of have to fit where I'm trying to go to? Or were you like, because I know at a point when you were writing LYS, everything was like a project, or everything was a continuation of what you were learning in school. Did that kind of transfer to some of those jobs you had there?
Yeah, I think that came later, after my walk with Christ began, and also me really starting to understand my purpose. But in terms of like just right after high school, I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I don't know where I'm gonna go. And again, just kind of hunger of like, yo, I'm gonna make it. You know what I mean? But in terms of as things went on, I always had probably 2 jobs. And so since I had 2 jobs, one was man, I worked at Express. That's how I got my clothes up, my fashion going. I worked at Jason's Deli. Shout out to JD, the sandwiches, delivering fuzzies, pizza delivery. And so having all of those jobs at the same time helped me to develop different skill sets. But my walk with Christ and also my determination regarding what I believe my purpose was what made me kind of choose college and choose school differently. So I ended up getting the associate's degree in education, and then ultimately getting a degree in psychology with a minor in religious studies at Houston Christian. It was minor in Christianity, really.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's just good. I love going down the list and seeing where intertwined. Festus helped me get that job at JD, man. That was great experience. Here's where I learned to get hooked on that fruit dip. It's a different story for a different day. But Dr. Jamarc, Daniel, what was y'all's experience like in high school in regards to jobs and college in regards to jobs and things like that?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go. Sure. I'm from a small town, so everybody gonna be working regardless. As soon as you come out the womb, they don't give a damn about your age. Mama like, boy, get out there, do something. So I was mowing lawns at one point. Then I was then cleaning church with my pops. Then when I got to, was it middle school? When my cousin used to have he used to own a concession stand at a baseball field. So we work at the baseball field, helping him selling chips and stuff like that. And what was it, hot dogs and stuff like that. Then my freshman year, I was cleaning bill. 8th grade and was freshman year? Freshman, 8th grade year? I can't remember. I was cleaning banks with my cousin making money. Then I worked at Shawnee's. That was short-lived. Praise the Lord, closed down. That was so cool. Then worked at Kroger's because I had co-op, which is so funny because my mama didn't even know my last junior and senior year I had co-op because she was like, no, you don't. I was like, yes, I do have co-op. Like after I graduated, my family found out I had co-op and was working 40 hours during school. But so I had that. Then
Can you tell us a little bit more about co-op and how that worked? Like, did the school get you the job? Did you have to look for your own? Like, how did that work out?
Yeah, no problem. I got you. So I was already working at Kroger's. I started working at Kroger's my junior year. Oh yeah, it was my senior year I had co-op back to back. Not much. So my junior year, after I messed up my foot in football, I was like, what? I'm not going pro. Time to get a job. So I went ahead and worked at Kroger's I was working over summer full time because back then they did not care about your age or about you can't work past 10 o'clock. They didn't give a dang about none of that. So when you work at co-op, this is how it works. So you go to school, you tell the people that you have you have to have all your credits. First of all, you can't say I want a co-op and then you still need like 12 credits to graduate. You're not getting into co-op, man. So I finished all my credits really by my junior year. So what happened was I would have PE, DECA, then co-op, which ain't the DECA y'all know over here, which is like I think it's like people who like dreamers. It was a marketing thing, DECA. So you would get in the co-op, you would go to school, you sign up, you have to prove it with the company you work with, and then they would have to agree, but you still have to work 30 to 35 hours a week for co-op. So you pretty much have to have a full-time job. You have to actually go in, check, and make sure. But they're not really checking. Well, I don't know if they check on you now. Back then, they weren't really checking on me. I was just knowing that at this time, I would have to go to work. So that's how it really worked. Really, all you do is tell them you got a job, you sign up. Well, back then, that's been 20-something years ago, which sounds crazy. But you would just go in, you let them know, you sign for co-op, and then you have to get your paperwork, I think, signed by your employer, and then you can start getting your credit hours for that. Then after that, after I graduated, I think I went and worked at Frito-Lay, and we started getting that over because Frito-Lay, like I don't know if they do that now, but Frito-Lay here back home was probably the same here. If you got nephews and cousins who might be looking for like a Christmas job or a summer job, they usually hire teens for the summer, people from either college or people going off to college during Christmas time and the summertime for them to come and work more hours because it's real busy for them. So I went there, worked there for the summers, come back, worked there for Christmas. Then I got on full time in Nashville. So I was going to college and working at Olay. So that's my experience, always working. So I'm tired now.
Are you sure your family's not Jamaican?
Hey man, hey, you ain't lying, man. My uncle's now, he like 70-something years old, bro. He's still working buildings. I was like, one time he was getting he's getting Social Security. He was still going to work and he was still cleaning buildings, bro. I was like, y'all boys, wow, I'm tired. I'm not gonna be like y'all at 70. I'm tired already. My body done gave up.
Hey, LYS fam. It's Olay. Thanks so much for listening to LYS. I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk to the parents. That's right, mom and dad. Parents, prepare your child for their best educational fit after high school with our comprehensive LYS Parents Guidebook. Our helpful guide includes a range of activities designed to help you better understand your child's unique gifts and abilities. Additionally, we provide valuable insights into the student loan debt crisis and offer practical tips on how to avoid accumulating large amounts of debt. Our ebook also includes a wealth of information on scholarships, grants, and payment exemptions that can help guide your child towards a bright and successful future. With our expert guidance, you can rest assured that your child is well prepared to make informed decisions about their education and career path. Don't let your child's future be in jeopardy. Invest in their future today by downloading the LYS Parents Guidebook. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to the show because you know it's some good topics.
How about you, Crawford? How was your experience in high school and in college?
Yeah, my work experience had nothing to do with what I wanted to do. In high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do as far as in college. And so I got a job in what I was interested in at the time as a high school student, which was sneakers. So I worked at a sneaker store. And then when I graduated high school, it definitely was about just any place that would hire me because I needed money to make it through college and pay for the things that I need to pay for. So those jobs is really just to make a buck, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. You can totally see like the change because I definitely remember I was the same as you all pretty much. I don't think I had as many jobs, but I did just do things. I knew I had to work. I knew that was just an expectation. You got to work. But I never really thought about doing things that were like, oh, I'm really, passionate about this. I want to learn about, this particular topic or subject. So I'm going to look for a job in that thing. But part of the reason why I asked is because I wanted to talk about some of the trends we see with young people these days. And then we're going to talk about a couple other questions here. But so let's talk a little bit about application trends and how young people are applying for jobs. Students are applying to more jobs and internships than ever. The class of 25 submitted about 24% more applications per job on average than the class of 2024, which is showing increased competition, and a lot more the students being a lot more proactive to building their careers. I don't know if they're building their careers, but you're applying to McDonald's, but they are applying for more jobs. The awareness of market needs. 3/4 of high schoolers are aware of current worker shortages, and over 1/3 are more likely to pursue educational careers in in-demand fields as a result, which is something that we didn't have, I think, growing up. No one told us, we had no idea about the BLS, right? And so it's really cool and interesting to see, a lot more students being involved and understanding things that are going on as far as what jobs are going to be available for me when I'm ready to look for a job. For college students, top priorities when choosing jobs are desired locations and job stability. High school students, the employment population rate for high school students was 22.5. The labor force participation for high school students was 22.3. College students are obviously about twice as likely as high school students to be employed. Part-time college students are much more likely to work compared to full-time students. I was a part of that about 20 years ago. Students at 2-year colleges are more likely to work than those at 4-year colleges. I'd assume a lot of that had to do with finances and time. Here are some of the biggest variables determining who gets jobs and internships. Resume content. Do you have relevant experience? What's your leadership like? Are you good at problem solving? Is there evidence of initiative? Application volume and timing. Who's applying early? Academic status. Part-time students and those at 2-year colleges are more likely to work due to schedule flexibility and financial need. Field of study and demand skills, demographics and enrollment. 16 to 20 of students, 16 to 24, 55% of men and 69.5% of women were enrolled in college. The labor force participation is higher among those not enrolled in school compared to recent dropouts. So quite a few folks who are doing the last thing that you can do of the 6 things you can do after high school, which is sleeping on your mother's couch, right? Which is always going to be there. I guess the only hope is that we have is it doesn't get too high. So yeah, those are just some stats that I was able to find. My question for all of us is it important to just get a job or to get something that fits your calling, your purpose, and your passion?
I could kick off, man. I think at the onset, when you're starting out, it's best to just get work, period. Because the problem is a lot of students are not around enough people that are outside of their family that they could build credibility, right? So the first stage of discovering your purpose is the discovery phase, figuring out what you're good at. And the problem is in school, you're not quite able to figure out what you're good at because everything's, so academic. So unless you do sports or unless you do some other type of extracurricular and depending on what your background is, a background like mine, we didn't have much money. So we couldn't do that many extracurriculars. So I didn't really know what I was good at. You know what I'm saying? I knew I was smart, but I didn't know how smart or anything like that. I just knew like, okay, I could figure some stuff out. And so those first couple of jobs allowed me to test my smarts in front of other people who did not know me and who also did not have a vested interest into telling me I'm smart or I look good or whatever. Your parents, your community you grew up with, they kind of have a vested interest into telling you good things about yourself. You know what I'm saying? You need to go out there and test your skills with somebody who does not know you from Sam I Am. And when they say, green eggs and ham, when they say, hey, you got it and you're doing good, then that lets you know that, okay, you might be cut out for whatever type of work it is. But working in your purpose is far, 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 far better than just getting a job. But if you had a choice between sitting at home and getting some type of job, take some type of job. Don't sit at home, because this is the thing you have to understand. If you're 15, 16-year-olds listening to this, the older you get, the less people feel sorry for you and the less they care. Okay, this is just the truth of reality. All right, the first break point is about 15, 16. That's where people are like, oh, you kind of cute and give you a shot, young person. And when you hit 18, that's the next break point. People care a lot less. When you hit 20, people care a lot less. There ain't nobody feeling sorry for you is what I'm saying. I'm not saying people don't care about you, but they just don't feel sorry for you. They don't want to necessarily give you a chance. They're not going to say, oh, you're young, so you made a mistake. That's where things start to get serious, right? By the time you hit about 25, people are like, look, I'm competing against you. So, it is what it is. So in the early years, you want to start trying to get as much experience as possible.
Yeah, man. Actually, like what Festus said too. And I guess it also depends on what you are able to do at that time. Like if you have money to where you can go out and find something where you can actually go work in your purpose, like Festus was talking about, or to see if you like it, where you can actually go out and get an internship because you already have your finances lined up. Yeah, and it's good to go out there. You go try to figure out what you like, what you don't like. If you want to be a marketer, to go work for a company that doesn't have to really pay much because you got the finance to go. But if you ain't got the finances to go and you trying to get them finances, it's definitely get your hat behind up and go get a job. Because like Fest said, when you hit 18, people like, okay, you know what I'm saying, you good. But if you 20 and you still ain't gone to work, they gonna be like, hey, cuz, you gotta do something with yourself because you have to go make some money. Like nobody's gonna like that. They're not gonna believe that you're willing to go do something if you're not even doing something now to take care of yourself. If that makes sense. Like if you say, I want to do this and this. Okay, bro, you won't work in this and you're not even going to try working anything else, but you want me to think that you're going to work this hard when you're not even working now. They not going to be like Fest said. By the time you hit 25, it's like, hey, cuz, go out there and get you. By then, it's like, bro, just go get your regular job. So I would say if you have the funds and availability to go, like I have students now, I was trying to talk to them. She said she might go, she 5th grade, so she might go watch her friend's dad be a veterinarian or anesthesiologist, working the doctors, not working there, but have walk around, help out, just see how it works. And then when she get older, I'm sure her parents have the funds. Now they try and get her there. But if you don't have the funds, like me, I was trying to get some, even after college, I could have probably did some teaching thing over the summer, but I wasn't about to waste time. I went and got my happy buddy free Olay again and made just enough money to be able to come down to Texas so I can pay for stuff to move to actually be able to walk in my purpose. So you need to always have, you need to go work, like Festus said, I would say. But if you're available to, if you have the funds and ability to go do other things to actually see what you want to do, I mean, to actually walk in your purpose at the time because you have enough money, because like maybe your parents are set up, then go do it. But if you ain't set up, you need to get your hat butt up and just go get a job.
You know, and I think you bring up a good point about like prerequisite resources or prerequisite skills. So I think that's something we don't talk about enough. It just in general, when it comes to these students, right? Is like some jobs take money to get, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, even if it's the most entry level thing. So if somebody says, hey man, I'm gonna go cut grass. Okay, you need, you know, I guess the lowest level is like having scissors, you know what I'm saying? But then you gotta have a lawnmower, right? So there's certain things that you need in order to get certain jobs. And then there's certain amount of time, energy, money, and resources you need to be able to dedicate to getting a particular type of, you know, job, right? So, you know, sometimes it's best to start out with what's closest to you. You know what I mean? So if you want to do work as a vet, what's the closest veterinary place to you, right? If you want to, maybe it's not a veterinary place, maybe it's a pet store. Maybe you want to start there. Maybe it's not a pet store. Maybe it's a seafood store. Maybe you could start there, right? And then again, don't be afraid to volunteer, right? So, you know, maybe they say, hey, no, we're not hiring. Well, maybe it's that they can't afford to hire, but maybe you could volunteer. And nobody's saying you have to work a 40-hour week there. Maybe you say, hey, listen, let me just come one day a week and I'm gonna be your hardest worker. I'm gonna be your hardest volunteer. Let me just greet the people, or let me do anything so that you could get skills. And that's really important because, as Olay was saying, you know, the statistics say a lot of these kids are applying, but there's some places, particularly like mom and pop owned businesses, smaller businesses, that they might not have all of those things in place. They might not even have a real application process. Some of these people, you might have to just knock on the door and say, you know, hi, my name is Joe, and I would like to do something here. You know, that's not the optimal way. That's not the best way. You know, the best way is to come in with a plan. Hey, my name is Joe. I'm a hard worker. I'm also good at XYZ. I would like to work here 3 days a week. Even if you can't afford to pay me, I will do XYZ so I can build my skills for summer, because I don't want to be at home. You know, something along those lines.
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay. Just wanted to take a quick break to let you know that even though the cost of college can be daunting, the LYS Scholarship Guide ebook can assist you in realizing your dreams. You can identify and apply for scholarships using the information, advice, and resources in our comprehensive guide. Also, we've provided a template for a successful scholarship essay to help you stand out from the crowd. Don't allow student loan debt to control you. Get your copy of the LYS Scholarship Guide ebook right away to take charge of your destiny. Simply go to lys.com internship.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to that fire conversation.
I think in a perfect world scenario, I think that each student who has an idea of what they are interested in should try to volunteer or get an internship, or if they are lucky to get a job in their field, just to get experience so they can one know what it's really like to be in that field of interest. Because it's one thing to read the pros and cons on the internet, on paper, or on a commercial, or from hearsay, versus, okay, I feel like I'm interested in this field, let me try to go intern or volunteer, or if I could possibly get like a part-time job in that field. And the benefits are, of course, gaining skills, but more importantly, it will be gaining information to where you can make informed decision and learn about yourself. Okay, maybe I am actually interested in this, or maybe there's more avenues within this career and opportunities that I was unaware of, or maybe this is not for me because I'm learning from myself that the skills needed to flourish in this particular career field maybe are not of my interest. And it's all about gaining information so you can make the best informed decisions for yourself as a young student, versus not having any experience, and then you go and do all the schooling and you graduate and you get into the career field and you might decide, okay, this is not for me. And then, having to start over and things of that nature. Also, for students who are like in school or in college and have a full ride scholarship, I would say first, getting your education is your job, because that's a commitment based on that scholarship that you're going to do good academically. And I would say first and foremost, take care of that. But if you want to spend your spare time, like, hey, then, like everyone is suggesting, look for those volunteer opportunities. I think we also want to be careful of talking about, like money, because I do think money is good. But for those students who get like scholarships and their financial part for school is taken care of, hey, go for those internships, go for that volunteer work so you can get those skills, get those soft skills that are needed to flourish in whatever career you might be interested in. One of the things that I see most often that is a challenge, and I'm pro everybody getting a job, but one of the things that I do see at the college level is the conundrum of students getting jobs. And what's happening is they're making lifestyle changes based on their income, right? And so, because they're making lifestyle changes based on their income, let's say, hey, well, I bought a car that I now have to pay a car note because I got a job at Dr. Pepper or Frito-Lay and I'm getting $600 to $700 a week, right? Well, now my lifestyle has adjusted to getting paid that $600 to $700 a week, and now Frito-Lay is like, hey, we need to change your schedule up. So now that's putting a wrench in your school ideas. And oftentimes, what I see students do is like, go to school, get this education, or keep making this $500 to $600, $7 a week when I got an apartment, I got my own car. And so if we don't have to put those burdens on ourselves, and if you got to do what you got to do and hustle to pay for school, that's that. But a lot of times I see students looking at that short-term income right now and making long-term decisions based on that short-term income, and then they later regret it and come back to school. And that's where we have some of our non-traditional students and was like, yeah, I should have stayed in school, and things of that nature. So again, wrap it up, perfect world scenario, yes, as soon as you can, go get those soft skills, volunteer, internships, so you can even see if you're interested in that career, and let those skills transfer over into the real world when you do get those careers. And be mindful, if you don't have to get a job, if you have scholarships and your education is paid for, just make sure you volunteer and get the internships. Don't worry about the money part. That should come later if you are working in your purpose, like Festus had pointed out. So yeah.
But man, I love how you brought that into the conversation about the lifestyle changes, right? Like I think that's the thing that's so interesting, particularly coming from, youth like us that came from a background, the single parent home, first generation home or something like that. Is like the first time you see money, it seems like so much, but it's against the backdrop of so little exposure. You know what I'm saying? So you don't know that, when the bills come, they keep coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, that rent is always going to be due. The lights is always going to be due. And so we tend to think, hey, man, I made a couple $100. I should be good. And the reality is that, patience is a virtue for a reason, right? And so also understanding your ultimate goal is key. And this is where, mentorship and talking to people who are in the field that you're going to get into, or you ultimately want to get into, is important, because they could tell you like, hey, over here we make X, and this is what that lifestyle support. And they might not want you in all their business. Some of them might. So you never know, depending on the depth of that relationship and what they share. So kudos to you for sharing that. Olay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as we were talking, I put some notes down because we're going to get into the be, no, do of this all. And I agree with you, Festus, overall. Look, if you can't find something that fits with your purpose or your calling or your passion, first of all, we're glad that you at least know that, because a lot of folks don't, right? Which is why we're here. The thing that came into my mind is, just like Festus said, get something, but ask yourself some questions, just some questions as you're thinking about this. How can I make the most of this opportunity, right? In order for you to understand how you can make the most of this opportunity, you have to kind of start thinking, well, what do I want for myself? Who am I? So that's already starting you on the purpose of, what did I learn about myself after while you're in this job, or, if you happen to leave this job for whatever reason, what did you learn about yourself? Because, I think we've all hinted on it. Every job you have, you're going to gain something, whether good or bad, right? It's an experience that you log in and you say, I was able to accomplish X, Y, and Z. What are some things that would make this job better for me, right?
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay once again. These days, many families are busy, but want personalized attention. We at Laddering Your Success understand this dilemma and have created a unique approach to help guide you and your child with personal development tools to build a life of purpose. This intimate approach is helpful for those parents that feel the need to have a focused heart-to-heart conversation deciding on the next steps after high school. We provide individual post-secondary planning, virtual customized college and career counseling, and scholarship guidance and planning. Our one-on-one sessions are tailored to each individual student to maximize their potential in the post-secondary realm. With our guidance, your child will be able to make their dreams a reality. Don't wait. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to business on this podcast.
And I think I love that question, because it starts to ask you, well, it almost gets to like the $1 million, $1 billion question that we always bring up. If you had everything, what would you do? So at this job, like, someone asks you, do you like the job? And you say, no, this job sucks. Well, what about the job sucks? I can tell you, when I was working in accounting, I hated the fact that I had to sit in an office for 8 hours a day, looking at spreadsheets, isolated, not talking to anybody. What does that tell you? I like to be moving. I like to be around people. I don't like to do the same thing every day, right? Just asking yourself those questions will start to help you figure out what environment you want for yourself, and what about you can help you create that environment that you want for yourself. And then lastly, just a simple question: what aspects of this job felt like I wasn't working? When I was doing certain things, what felt like I was just doing it naturally? Like, it was just very easy for me, something that maybe other people struggle with that I'm just able to knock out very easily. Communicating with other people, a certain thing, technology, working on a computer in some aspect of that way. What are you doing that you do better than other people? So I think that starts to help people as they start to go through this journey, because as many people, as great as these stats are, that young people are applying for more jobs, there can be a 75% increase in job applications. There's still a finite amount of jobs, right? As opposed to the job that just had 100 people applying for it, you now have 300 people applying for that job, right? So they're still going to hire the same amount of people. There's just more people in the pot that they have to look at. And, to the point earlier, who's applying early? Who has more stuff on that resume? So real quick, if we could, I want us to jump into the be, no, do of the situation. For the young people who are looking for jobs, who are looking for internships, who are looking for just things to do, because I know there's going to be a lot of people, right? The term is we're outside. And if there's another thing that I know, I've learned this from just being involved in the community. Summer is when crime goes up. There's just an uptick in violence because it's hotter. And so with that being said, to make sure that we're outside doing the right things, what's a quick be no do that we can do for folks, for the young folks, to help them start to plan what to do, right? So I'll start off. Start to ask yourself, what about you? What aspects of you do you want to be able to do in the job, right? So if you're funny, do you want to be able to be in a place where you're free? If you're very organized, do you want to be in a position that allows you to be organized? If you're very analytical, if you're a big thinker, right? What type of roles, as you're looking for these jobs, can help you as you're looking for these roles? I think this is probably going to be the biggest key here, outside of, it just depends on where you are. But I think the knowing is just so important here, because I have seen so many resources. I've seen so many opportunities out there for young people to get access to jobs, but either you didn't take it seriously, you just saw it and you just looked past it, or you took it, but for whatever reason, you said the way the information was given to you, it wasn't given to you on a silver platter. I think right now we're at the age of like some of the highest levels of entitlement, where folks kind of just feel like if it's not given to them exactly how they asked for it, they don't want it. And with all that we're saying in regards to these jobs and these internships, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be the way you want it. But the prize is going to be given to the person who can make the most out of their situation. At the end of the day, it's still a dog eat dog world. So we can sit here and say, oh, I was looking at it, but I really wasn't sure. And this and the third, the same person who has the same skill set, is interested in the exact same things as you are going to take what you said no to and are going to make a mountain out of it. So the question is, what is it that they see that you don't see in yourself that's causing you to stay in the background, or causing you to be in third place instead of being in first place? So I'll leave it open for you guys. Let's continue to kind of brain dump on this for the students. Like, how does our being impact us? How does our knowing? We didn't even get to doing yet. That's a key verb. You got to do something. So I'd love to get you guys' input on that.
Man, you was over here crushing it. Crushing it. You made me want to cry for the young kids. No, I'm just joking. What do they call it? You spazzing on them. Olay, you spazzing on them. But yeah, I think you're on point. I think one of the biggest things to do, and probably one of the hardest things to do, and I did not realize how much of a gift this is to start to develop a vision for your life. Start to, and why? Because the vision determines the values and the principles, right? If you want to be on the corner, not doing anything, just hanging out at the gas station, at the corner store, you don't need much of a vision for that. But if you see yourself impacting lives, changing lives, impacting people, building things, you need to develop a vision for that. So take some time, not that much time, but take some time to start developing a vision, right? And from that vision, determine what type of values are needed for the life that you want. And so then as you're looking for work, as you're looking for employment, as you're looking for internships, as you're looking for volunteer opportunities, you can start to look for things that match and will develop, right, what you discover about yourself. So there's a couple of things that you need to look at when it comes to this being, knowing, doing thing, depending on what stage you're in. You're either in the discovery phase or the development phase or the deployment phase. Most people are not ready to deploy. They're not ready to be sent out into the world. They're not ready to be sent out of school, out of their parents' house, and deployed. So the first step is discovery. Who's going to help you discover values? Is it volunteering at your church group or mosque group a little bit longer? Is it spending time with, that uncle or aunt who's been successful, that you can maybe shadow them at their office. So spend some time in that discovery phase, and then look for a place, again, that's going to help you not only discover, but maybe next step, develop. Okay, I know if I show up here, it's going to develop hard work in me. It's going to develop grit in me. It's going to develop certain values and principles in me for my ultimate vision for my life, right? As you do that part of the being work, developing, your character, your values, and your principles, now you can start talking about knowing stuff, right? Because now in the information age, anybody can access information. So you could get information like that, but it takes knowing who you are and what you want to accomplish with that information, right? That's the part that matters, right? The wisdom aspect. And you only get wisdom in certain ways, right? From observing others, from experience, and from deep thought and reflection on what it is you ultimately want to do, right? There's a couple of different ways, spiritual ways and different types of things like that, meditation, prayer. We're not going into that in this particular segment, but you want to develop that wisdom because that ultimately impacts what you do. So I'll cap right there, but great points, Olay, and I'm ready to listen to Dr. Jamarc Crawford.
Man, I feel like you guys are making such amazing points. I wanted to touch on something Olay said earlier that connected to what you were saying, Festus, with being in the discovery part. And one of the things that Olay said, Olay said earlier was when he was talking about when he was in accounting and he realized he didn't like it because he liked being away from people. Being around people. He didn't like being in a cubicle on a computer for like 8 hours and so on and so forth. And what I feel is so amazing about your guys' program is you kind of teach young students to how to learn about themselves and to walk in their purpose and how they best can apply that. And I feel like that is very, very important because for me, I thought I knew. So I had a skill as young kid and it was drawing and I loved cartoons. And so I'm like, okay, I don't know what the career is called, but I want to do something with that. And I learned that that was called animation. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to work for Disney and I want to draw and make animations. And I love Disney, so that's what I wanted to do. So when I went to college at Sam Houston, I joined the animation program, and I was like, yes, I'm doing my thing. But that's when I discovered about myself at a later age that hey, although this is my skill set, this is not what I want to do because I've gotten experience with, oh, I have to sit in this room for hours on end and just draw. Like, wait, that's like I don't get to take breaks. I just draw. And so I'm isolated from everybody else in the world. And what's messed up is I'm in this computer lab with a window, seeing all the other students outside on the yard enjoying themselves, and I'm feeling like I'm in prison. I'm in timeout drawing. And so even though I love cartoons and animation, that didn't change. Like I still love anime to this day. My passion for consuming it didn't change, and I still had the gift of drawing, but I realized through that experience, which is why it's good for people like Festus is saying, to do internships and volunteer so you can see firsthand to make informed decisions. I wasted well, I don't want to say I wasted, but it took me 3 years to learn about myself that this is not what I want to do. And it took me 3 years, and I can't get those 3 years back. So when I realized, okay, what is something else I'm passionate in? Teaching and working with children. And when I went that route, and with teaching in the teaching field in school, it comes with basically an internship, right? You have to go into the field and do it. Oh, I was like, this is my thing right here. And so what I love about you guys, if people actually listen to you and take this information in, they won't have to waste that time that they don't get back. They can use that time. Okay, let me go get an intern, and this can be time to help me assess myself and learn about myself and applying the be no do. in the LYS framework to make these informed decisions. Okay, maybe I don't want a job that I'm in a cubicle for 8 hours doing this and this, because when I intern, I see that, oh, in the accounting field, oh, that's what all they doing, Excel spreadsheets and formulas. That ain't for me, and so I just feel like you guys are doing something powerful, and I just want to say I appreciate you guys for allowing me to be a part of this and learning the information from you, as well as sharing it to other people. So appreciate you guys.
No, thank you, man. Thank you for always bringing your wisdom. I mean, you coming out the trenches to share this, from working with, intermediate students to working with college students to working with high school students. You see it and you see where they're at. So thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom.
Oh, and since you brought up the high school students, so with the topic that we're talking about, I just thought about from that perspective. I realized that there is a lack of reality there. So how you guys are talking about, being, knowing, doing, the what they want and the reality of what it takes to get there is distorted. So I'm in the class and they're like, I want to be an esthetician, or I want to be this, or I want to be that. And they're saying jobs. I'm like, why you want to do that? Oh, it makes 6 figures. I'm like, you gotta be successful in school. and in my classroom, you're not a scholar. And so it's like kind of like knowing, and it's not because they're not intelligent. Let me be clear. It's not because the students aren't intelligent. It's that they lack the resilience to do what's needed to be done academically to be successful, if that makes sense. And they're looking at jobs like anesthesiologists and other kind of fields that make 6 figures and things of that nature. So that's why the be no do is definitely important.
No, I think you're spot on. And that's kind of what I was sharing about, like, what does it align with your ultimate values? Because you're right. I think social media and just media in general has distorted, the how-to, you know what I mean? And so, you look on social media, it's like, I'm gonna just be an Instagrammer or YouTuber and I'm gonna make $1 million, and the reality is, when you really sit down and you go look and do the math, probably the top 10% of the YouTubers are the ones who are making the big money. I think that I've seen the statistic somewhere, and I'm a kind of butcher it, but the average influencer only made $512 a month or something like that. I think if I remember the statistic correctly. I'll look it up and share it accurately. Olay, you want to share anything else before we close out?
Yeah, real quick, man. I wanted to give a quick story because thank you so much for that, Jamarc. You mentioned something about resiliency, and I went back and thought about myself in high school. And I think I was definitely like them. And not only was I lacking resiliency, I was lacking the awareness. And I just have a quick tidbit here for parents. Parents, make sure that you're using every opportunity to expose your children to as much as you can. And exposure doesn't necessarily have to, I think when we think about that, we have this grand idea of like, they have to go to this place or that place. Festus, always give you kudos. Taking your kids to different playgrounds is just something that's awesome, because it just starts to help them see that there's differences in different playgrounds. I'm talking about just taking a drive around and going to different parts of town, different community centers. This does not have to be a major financial commitment or anything like that in regards to exposure. If you can afford it, if you can, do a couple of things to allow your children to do that, fine, great, do it. But one of the things I didn't know is I didn't have awareness of, I didn't know how me doing well in school correlated to other things. It hit me 2 years in at Houston Community College. 2 biggest things I learned was that my sociology professor also taught the same thing at University of St. Thomas in the University of Houston. And I was able to pay for this class working at Walmart. And I also understood that, if I just read and study a little bit more, I can make an A in a class. It's not what you know, it's how you get there. It's how you get to what you know. And I just read a little bit, and I found how I studied, and I found how these things work for me. So when we talk about these things, it's not rocket science. It's literally the things we teach. I just figured out what type of learner I was. If a young person figures out what type of learner they are, they can get access. And I didn't have no ChatGPT back then. I didn't have Google. I think we were barely getting out of Netscape. You know what I mean? So y'all have the access. It's what do I know about myself? How do I take who I am to find out what I need to know to be able to do what I need to do? That's be no do, right? So wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Crawford. Talk to us. What's your plan for this summer? Are you leaning towards a job? Are you leaning towards an intern? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, let me hop on two things real quick before we close out. One, just this link from Franklin University. I think this is a legit link. It says, how much do influencers make?
Gotcha.
The range is very wide. So the average salary is from about $32K to up to $75K is the range in 2023. With the lowest earners making about $15 an hour, highest earners making about $36, $37 an hour, with the average being about $26 an hour. And so, but a lot of people, you got to really tap into, well, what does that mean? And who's hiring for those jobs? What does that mean? Number one, it means you got to build followers. Well, and if you're building followers, what kind of niche? All of those different types of things. And so maybe, just maybe your summer job or internship should be going to look for influencers and ask them to work for them. Something to think about. But go ahead, Olay.
Way to do it. Wonderful idea. Man, these kids are so
Casanat just had Streaming University.
Free 99 we're giving out here. I love it. Most definitely.
Go ahead. Thinking about going, wasn't you?
Streaming University. Yes, sir. Talk to him, man. Talk to him. I love it. So great. So great, James. I love it, guys. Love it, and love you guys. So, folks, talk to us. What's your plan for this summer? Are you leaning towards a job? Are you leaning towards an internship? Or maybe something totally different? Maybe kind of like what Festus said, right? Hitting up those different influencers or people in the field you're looking for, YouTube, Streamer University. So get in the comments or tag us on social media with your summer goals. Let us know what you're planning on doing. Don't forget to subscribe to Edu Steps, whether you see us on YouTube or on Spotify, for more real talk and practical tips to help you build your future one step at a time. For more information, please be sure to go to our website, www.ladderinyoursuccess.com, for more info, resources, and support as you plan your summer break. Folks, for the one and only Daniel Hill, Dr. Jamarc Crawford, my name is Olay Sharanki. Festus, please give him the phrase that pays, my good sir.
So listen, there are legitimate excuses for not going to college. There's no legitimate excuse for not getting an education. Hit that like button. If you like what you heard today, hit the share button with somebody who needs to hear this, and hit the follow button if you know we gave away some fire sauce, and we will see you on the next episode.